It's time now for today's strategy session. The crypto rally sending Bitcoin to fresh record highs. But can the momentum continue? Joining us now, we've got Matt Hougan, who is the Bitwise CIO. Matt, great to speak with you once again here. Just take us into what's really prompted this most recent thrust that we've seen within Bitcoin, the leading cryptocurrency right now by market cap.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here. We have two forces working together to push Bitcoin to new all-time highs, and I do think that rally will continue. One is that institutions are moving into the crypto space. We've seen over $8 billion in inflows into Bitcoin ETFs in the last 30 days. That's new demand against fixed supply, and that pushes prices up. But at the same time, we're getting a lot of unintentional support from Washington. I think the market today is reacting to the fact that the government has sort of said it's on board to grow deficits, to print more money, to expand the fiscal debt. And that's forcing people to look outside of fiat currencies to an alternative. Bitcoin is that alternative. I think this is the start of a major move. I think we're going to significantly exceed the previous all-time highs, and we're en route for another great year in Bitcoin.
Hey, Matt, it's Julie here. This has long been sort of one of the arguing points for Bitcoin, right, in terms of what you were just talking about. But the folks we're talking to don't think that the movement we're seeing in treasuries, for example, or the concern about deficits is going to be terribly sustained. It hasn't been sustained in the past. So what gives you the optimism that that flow is going to be sustained into Bitcoin this time around, if that is indeed one of the reasons why?
Yeah, look, I think something may have started to break with investors' long-term appetite for debt, right? We have the 30-year over 5%. We see what's going on in Japan. I think people are starting to realize that the U.S. government has given up on the idea of substantial cuts. Deficits are going to continue ad infinitum, and that means the long-term value of the dollar is in question over time. People want alternatives. I think that's adding significant flows. Even independent of that, though, you have this structural mismatch between new demand and supply with institutions coming in. So that's sort of like the cherry on top that's forcing us up today.
Matt, why is what's true for Bitcoin not true for the rest of the altcoins that we're watching?
Yeah, I think there's a real fundamental difference between Bitcoin and assets like Ethereum and Solana. Bitcoin is the world's digital gold. Its blockchain is designed to serve that purpose, and it's widely held as money. It's held by more than 10 governments, by the largest corporations, the largest hedge funds. These other assets are very exciting investments. We're very bullish on Ethereum, very bullish on Solana. But even though they're called cryptocurrencies, they're more like tech plays. So I wouldn't expect them to perform similarly. I think their correlations will fall over time. Look, we're bullish on both. I think investors should own both. But one is digital gold, and one is more like a new version of the NASDAQ.
Matt, now that we've seen the spot Bitcoin ETFs, including the Bitwise one, mature a little bit more, IBIT is the dominant one, as you know, with about $56 billion in assets. What role does the Bitwise spot ETF play, and how should investors be thinking about the landscape of these ETFs that are pretty much the same, or should they not be thinking of them as the same?
It's beautiful that there are multiple ETFs and people can align with the one that fits their goals. So plenty of people love BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager. Some people in a specialist market want a specialist expert who's been managing investor capital in this space for the past 7 years, who understands how markets move over time, who is there whether the market is up or down. So when we speak to financial advisors, when we speak to institutions about BitB, they want to align with a specialist that they know they can call and get on the phone to explain what's happening on days like today or days when the market is down. That's the unique value add that Bitwise provides.
Trump is set to have another crypto dinner, and when I think about the last one, what took place was he launched his own coin while he had all of these other people in the room. What's anticipated this time around, and is the president having his own cryptocurrency, or his own coin, I should say, and digital currency? Is that something that erodes trust in crypto more broadly, or does it just push people further into Bitcoin?
I think largely it's a distraction, to be honest. If we look over the past 4 months at what's come out of DC, it's been extraordinarily positive for crypto. We've seen a 180-degree turn from the SEC, from anti-crypto to pro-crypto. We've seen a stablecoin bill moving forward in Congress. We've seen an executive order that established a Bitcoin strategic reserve. I do think the Trump meme coin on the margin is negative for crypto, but there is so much good news embedded in the market. In fact, I'd argue that one of the reasons we're surging today is there was so much positive news out of Washington in the first 3 months that it was sort of lost amidst concerns about tariffs and the tariff tantrum. And that is now acting as a springboard. So yeah, I would say the Trump meme coin stuff is probably negative for crypto on the margin. We get questions about it from institutional investors, but it's not the real story. The real story is underneath, where we've had this fundamental change in DC's approach to crypto that's put it on the path to be an institutional asset. That's why we're at new all-time highs and why I think we're going higher still.
Matt, thanks. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.